start with, can we please stand for a pledge of allegiance and a silent prayer?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, did that go through the other way?
I did, signed it, and it should be coming back to you. I signed it, made a little change. We're good to go. Call him.
Okay, how about a roll call, Rick?
Sure. From the city of Ansonia, we have the alternate Sheila O'Malley.
She was there.
Yeah.
She was-
Please just acknowledge that you're present when I
Sorry,
call your
here.
call.
Here, Rick.
Thank you. From the town of Beacon Falls, First Selectman Smith.
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you. From the town of Bethlehem, First Selectman Sorty.
Here.
From the city of Bristol, Mayor Caggiano
Here,
in the room. And from the town of Cheshire, the alternate Andrew Martelli is with us.
Here.
Thank you, Andrew. City of Derby, Mayor Zekin.
Here.
Is present. From the town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John,
Here.
present. From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here.
From the town, do we have anyone from the town of Oxford present? From the town of Plymouth, we do not have anyone right now. From the town of Prospect, Mayor Chatfield.
present.
From the town of Seymour, First Selectwoman Dragonis. Okay, I don't think she's with us
Rick,
yet.
I can send in a proxy and step, be the proxy for Seymour.
Okay, we have a proxy.
I'll send it.
From the city of Shelton, Mayor Loretti. Is Mayor Loretti on the phone? Okay. From the town of Southbury, First Selectman Manville. First Selectman Moan is on vacation, excused. From the town of Watertown, do we have Jonathan Ramsey? Mark Ramo?
Town manager.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Welcome. From the town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
From the town of Woodbury, First Selectman Perkinson.
Here.
Okay, we're also joined today by, as I go through this, Mayor, we have Hetty Ayers from Northeast, I'm going to call it Northeast Utilities, Eversource, John Field from Homeland Security, State Department of Emergency Management, Homeland Security. Lisa Slonis is here for the Rubber Avenue item from, I believe it's Weston Sampson. Is that right?
West, yes.
Yeah, okay. Lou Mangini from Congresswoman DeLauro's office is with us. Rep Cindy Harrison from Southbury is joining us today. Sarah Radacey from Connecticut Department of Transportation is also with us, as well as Zach Keith from Waterbury Development Corp. With that, Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum present of both bodies.
All right, great, thank you. Having said that, is there anyone here from the public who would like to address us this fine morning? Anybody here from the public?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to know, First Selectwoman Dragonis is joining us.
Okay, great. Welcome. Okay, no one here from the public, then we might as well go right to the party. Item agenda 2, CNVMPO meeting, approval of the CNVMPO resolution 2022 to 2008 tip amendments for project 0171-0459. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Yes, this TIP project, we have a new amendment. This is for District 1, which is located around the greater Hartford area. The project will involve upgrades of traffic signals, giving them new heads, new span poles, mast arms, and other related items. If these intersections also have pedestrian accommodations, they'll get upgraded pedestrian accommodations as well. This is throughout the entire District 1, but there's one location in our region. This is Route 68 and Route 70 in Cheshire. The total cost of the whole entire project is $7.1 million. This is all federal dollars. There's no state or local funds. And this is an ongoing program through Connecticut DOT to upgrade our traffic signals. So the recommended motion, as you can see on your screen, is to adopt the resolution.
So move Chatfield.
Second, done.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, nice job, Kevin. Okay, Mark Nielsen, item agenda B, interchange exit renumbering.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick information item. We wanted to make the MPO and the board aware of an ongoing effort by the DOT to renumber all exit interchange numbers and all interstates and limited access highways to what's called locational based numbering, which is basically to the mile marker. Right now, in Connecticut, we mostly use consecutive numbering, 1, 2, whatever. But according to the manual on uniform traffic control devices, the numbering shall be, and this is the problem with MUTCD, it says shall be based on a location-based system. So the department is now starting to do that as they replace the sign supports and signs on the interchanges. They're going to be doing renumbering. We bring this up because the Route 8 expressway is scheduled to undergo this renumbering over the next couple of years as they're starting to replace some of the sign posts. And it can create a little bit of an issue on Route 8 because the interchanges are so closely spaced together. There are going to be a couple of kind of weird instances where interchanges are so close, they're basically at the same mile marker, so they're going to have to use A, B, C. That creates a problem where Route 8 interchange intersects with Route 84. We're going to have an exit 30A, 30B, 30C, 30D. We just want to bring this up to your attention. We became aware of it when there was a TIP amendment a couple, 3 months ago, and in the bottom of the description of the amendment, they mentioned the renumbering it as part of this project. We didn't get the notification directly from the department. Some news releases did go to the chief elected officials, but it's a lot of times you guys get those notices and never see them.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, so I asked Mark to raise this. One, we're raising it at the Greater Bridgeport MPO as well. We were not really given good information from the department. They put this through as a tip to replace signage. They didn't tell us when this body approved the tip to replace signage that they were going to renumber the highway. For those of you familiar with 395 has already been done that way. But some of the concerns we have, we wouldn't have even known about it except that we were copied on a couple of letters that went to chief elected officials asking for comment, whether they were already underway with the project when they asked for the comment. And I have my doubts as to whether those letters actually made it to the intended CEOs, given the way they were addressed and sent. But I think Mark talked about the concern with the numbering in Waterbury. Another example I'll give you is interchange 12, which interchange 12A will be in Shelton. Interchange 12B will be in Derby on the other side of the river. It's going to get very confusing, and there's going to be gaps where, because it's mile marker, it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be 1, 7, 12, and that. So, I mean, it's required. I don't feel like we got enough information about it, but I wanted to make sure that all the CEOs were aware of these changes. You can discuss them with interested people in your community, your local chambers, business people who might be concerned about these sorts of renumberings. But it is federal regulation, as Mark talked about, that we must do it. I just feel like there wasn't enough notice. So I wanted to make sure everybody had good notice and we were paying attention to this.
And just for information, I-84 is scheduled to be renumbered in 2028. Yeah, so there's, they're doing this over time, so it's not going to be done all at once. So there's still going to be a little bit of old way of doing it and new way of doing it. And also, according
Need
to
all your GPS.
and according to the federal regulations, they need to keep the old numbering
Nightmare
sign
for the
up
public
for a
safety.
couple of years, just so people have different
Pick up their
uses.
phone.
You'll see
Eliminates
new exit
17.
number, old exit number on the
We
same
don't
same
have
sign for a
17.
while.
Okay. All right. Well, I was in Massachusetts recently. They've done that up there as well. I think Mayor Bob has his hand up. Mayor Bob?
Yeah, I think this is going to cause a lot of confusion. Never mind for the thousands of people that haven't memorized, but I would certainly hope they notify all dispatch centers and police departments have been used to exit so-and-so for decades, and all of a sudden they're going to change this. So this could cause a lot of problems. I mean, I'm going to vote for it only because it's federal regulation, but sometimes federal regulations are not in the best interest of the motoring public. Oh, that's my piece.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else? Any comments?
This is just FYI, Mr. Chairman, there's no action required.
Okay. All right, Mark, on to better news. Item agenda C, approval of the CNVMPO resolution 2022 to 2009, 2022-09 endorsement of Waterbury Raise Grant application, Water Phase 2.
Mr. Chairman, before Mark starts in, I just want to make everyone aware, you're going to see this twice today on the agenda. We're going to approve it as we're proposing an endorsement by both the MPO and then separately by the COG, which is the Regional Planning Agency. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, just very quickly, make you aware, the city of Waterbury is intending to submit an application under the federal US DOT RAISE grant program. RAISE is now the new acronym for what used to be build grants. It used to be Tiger grants. And what the proposal is to sort of continue some of the improvements that were implemented by the city under Tiger that targeted Freight Street and that district over there. That project has been essentially completed. And so the idea is to continue some of the improvements that were not built under under Tiger, now under the RAISE. We have 4 components, extension of the Naugatuck River Greenway that is going to extend it from where the current section is under construction up through downtown to West Main Street. The second part is also doing some improvements on West Main Street itself between the Route 8 interchange and the Green. The third component is to convert an area along Jackson Street along the river into a riverfront park. That was proposed under Tiger, but was not included because DOT is wanted to use that site for staging for the Route 8 ramp improvement program. That's going to wrap up about the end of 2023, early 24. So the timing would be good to convert that to the parkway the city wanted. And then the fourth component is just adding some electric vehicle charging stations at the Woodbury train station. So NVCOG is assisting the city with Naugatuck Valley Development Corporation and WDC in the application together. So we're all working cooperatively. So we're just asking for the board's support and authorization for Rick to the executive director to draft and sign the support letter.
So moved. I'll second it.
Second. Okay.
Thank you. Motion on the floor and second. Any further discussion?
The charging stations, who pays for the electricity? The COG?
No.
It's free?
No, the charging stations are going to be at the train station, Mark.
Yes.
So it's whoever has the responsibility for the train station.
Did they pay the electricity to charge the cars?
Correct.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Have them all over Derby. That's the next thing too. You're gonna pay for it. I know, the mayor's laughing. You're right.
Just for clarity, Mayor Zekin, at Derby, the DOT pays for the electricity in the exterior of the building.
Yeah, that means we're paying.
Okay, motion on the floor. Second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion passes on I just really have to tell everyone what a amazing job Mark Nielsen and NVCOG is doing getting this together. It's a very short timeline, and our team, led by Mark Nielsen, have been working more than 8 hours a day in some cases on this project. So we're grateful. Thank you. All right, let's see what's next. We have item agenda 3, NVCOG administrative items, approval of the minutes of the February 11th,
So
2020.
move Chatfield.
Thank you. Discussion,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. B, approval of the agency financial reports and summaries for the period ending 1/31/22. Michael,
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, I want to note for the record, we've been joined in the interim by Mayor Kilduff from Plymouth, as well as Representatives Reyes and Napoli from the city of Waterbury. I think I got everyone. Yes.
okay, great. Nice to have a bigger party today. Okay, any more interruptions, Rick?
Oh, I'm good for now, Mayor, but I'll let you know.
Okay. Just kidding. Okay, item agenda 3A has been approved. 3B is the financial reports. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. So this is the report for January 31st, 2022. It is the report that went out in your agenda packet last week. We are currently 58% through the year, and a bottom line at the end of this month is 171,000. There haven't been any significant changes in any of our funding sources or activities, and no real significant expenses that we haven't expected yet. Right now, as you could tell, the professional services is quite over budget, but we did plan for that with the incurring the costs for the Kinneytown Dam. I will say what is significant to note, we finally got our RSG funds in the past couple of weeks, which they paid for about 3/4, a little bit over $300,000, which had been hanging out on AR for quite some time now. So the cash flow is positive. Other than that, there's no other significant changes to report, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Michael?
Move to accept Chatfield.
Second, done.
Okay, motion on the floor and seconded. Any further discussion or questions for Michael? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, very nice. Good job, Michael. Item agenda C, approval of the FDA capital program certifications and assurances. Rick Dunn.
Yes, sir. So this is certification that the board has to approve each year for the FTA capital program that we run in the 4 lower valley towns, Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, and Shelton. We're the direct recipient of federal funds in that case. The list of assurances have been prepared by our attorney and certified, and we're looking for your endorsement so that I can then go on to the federal system and authorize and have them endorsed officially.
Okay,
I won't be shy. I'll make the motion. I'll move.
thank you, Mayor Bob. Seconded by Mayor Dunn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Review of preliminary FY 2023 budget estimates and the dues schedule. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is just going to be a quick report. We don't have any changes for today. At the executive board meeting on Wednesday, we reviewed these numbers. There's just a few updates to it, but the bottom line is that we're showing a balanced budget. And then the assumptions in play are there'll be no increase in the regional service grant from the state. As you all know, we're working on trying to get the funding cut restored, but we're assuming that it's not going to be restored. That means that we have a 5% dues increase in the schedule for this budget. Now, obviously, if the state makes a change to the funding of the regional service grant to COGS, then we can eliminate that 5% dues increase completely. The The other assumption in here is that we're going to bill all available federal funds, which is, you'll see on the top line, PL funding. These are our federal funds that are used for transportation planning purposes on an annual basis. So that is the other assumption on there. But as we discussed previously, we're probably not going to adopt a budget until May or June after the legislature acts. So it's just an update at this point. If there are any questions on the budget, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll just go quickly to the due schedule, which, as I explained to the executive board the other day, we have we have a dues schedule that anticipates the 5% increase, but also utilizes a different population base from census. So as you can see, see if I try and get it all on screen here. In 2010, the population was 447,000. And in 2020, the population is 450,000. There's been some shifting around. So even with a 5% increase, you'll see in the final column, there are varying rates of increase because of population change. The total increase at 5% is about $11,000. But the most of it is attributable to the city of Waterbury. Because the way the census numbers came in, we know the census numbers are inaccurate in a number of places, but there's not much we can do about it. The statute says that's the way we, I'm sorry, our bylaw said that's the way we allocate that. So I'm happy to answer any questions on that, but this is all, again, subject to change based upon how the state funding comes in and the federal PL funding we're still discussing with CONDOT. That number may change as well.
Okay, very good. Any questions, folks?
That voice sounds familiar. I try to put the face and the voice together.
Hello. Welcome, Mayor Loretti.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you. Okay, we don't need a motion for that. That's just a review, correct, Rick?
Correct, just an update.
Thank you, sir. Do we have the, with the population increase of Waterbury, did that change the city's, do you know? I didn't get anything in writing from anybody. Did it change the city, move it up as all, or did all the other cities see increases as well? Do you know, as far as size per capita or size in the state?
I'm going to defer to any of the planning people who work with census. Rich, do you know?
I think everybody kind of stayed where they were.
We went down.
Yeah.
But the largest cities all increased more so than the rest of the state's population.
Yeah.
In particular, Stanford
I
had a significant increase in population.
It really was a product of the participation rates. The larger cities made a real effort to get the people to participate and respond. And unfortunately, that's a big factor in how it comes out. So
Okay.
we saw lower participation in suburban areas.
I noticed that my population dropped, so my dues should go down, right?
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. Gonna go down with the gasoline prices someday.
That quick.
All right, we'll jump over to item agenda 6, the director's report, Rick.
Yep. So the couple of things, Envision update. So our large conference that we typically hold every 5 years, which has been delayed through COVID, will be on September 13th at the Palace Theater. It's from 8:30 in the morning till it'll run till about 3 in the afternoon. We have the governor on tap to speak, and it should be a very interesting conference, but I know dates have been changing, so I wanted to let you know that. We'll get a save the date out probably next week, updating everyone. The other items on the director's report that I wanted to talk about today. So I'm going to show you something, which is a flow chart. Following our meeting with Commissioner Boughton, Matt Fulda from Connecticut NVCOG, the Bridgeport region, and I have been working with him and his team about over a process by which competitive federal grants get aggregated and are done efficiently at the COG level. So this is what I'm showing you is a draft of what will be the basis of the discussion between Commissioner Boughton's office as the infrastructures are, the DOT and COGS, the MPOs primarily. So when there are eligible projects for municipalities, competitive grant projects at the federal level, primarily transportation, we would do the project identification at the MPO level. So this board would get sort of the first look. We would review them, evaluate them, group them, send them up to DOT for consultation and prioritization, and then they would send them back to us. And the plan is to have our staffs at the MPOs write the actual competitive grant applications. And then they would be submitted, yet to be determined and discussed is, you know, who would be the formal applicant, where the money would flow to, but we would assume it would go through the normal channels that transportation dollars already go through. So our staff here is working on, we just got with yesterday's announcement that the omnibus appropriations bill should pass Congress on March 15th, we think is the date. We're now looking at how we're going to handle the plus up of existing formula programs that we participate in, as well as the competitive grant programs and eligibility for various projects within our region and within our towns to make sure we stay ahead of the curve. We're working on that. As our staff will be participating in a webinar with Federal Highway Administration that they're sponsoring to encourage us to aggregate municipal projects into regional projects so that they have fewer applications and fewer things to consider with larger pots of money on individual grants. I'm happy to answer any questions about that. I do have two quick items on state legislative issues as well.
When you're already, I have three questions that are unrelated to what you're talking about.
So on the state side there, I just want to bring your attention, there are two bills that were raised this year. Our group, CTCOG, which is the group of COG directors, we're not the sponsors or the proponents of these bills, but I wanted to make sure you were aware of them just in case there's any discussion. There's a bill that came out of Western Connecticut that would propose to provide, as I understand it, an option for town road aid to be aggregated at the COG level and have the CEOs sit around the table and decide how to expend those dollars. That's not something that I've been involved in, not something I plan to testify over, and it's not something that our group statewide has endorsed. There's another bill that came out of SB 393, which is coming up in P&D on the 14th, which proposes a pilot program for the, get this off the screen, pilot program for the for Capital Region Council of Governments to work with OPM to determine how small transportation projects can be delegated to MPOs for design, presumably not construction. It's unclear to us how it goes. We're a little concerned that OPM would be the locus for federal transportation projects, or state transportation projects, should be DOT. And then there's this language that's strange that says the chairman of the Capital Region Council of Governments will be the person, one of the two people making the decisions with OPM about statewide discussion. I did talk to my counterpart at Capital Region, who's new. Some of you may know him, Matt Hart. He's a former town manager. He was unaware of that drafting of language when it came out yesterday, so he was a little caught off guard himself. So anyway, these things happen. I just wanted to make sure that I communicated to all of you that it's not something that CTCOG is sponsoring, either one of them.
Just my general comment, and I hope Bob Chatfield will echo my comments too, but what we've seen over the years is every time the process where you have a direct grant going to the community, somehow the state OPM, they want to revisit this every 4 or 5 years and get involved in and make it into a big political process of who gets what. Everyone sitting at this table is very capable of handling their direct grants, especially in the town road aid area. We don't need to sit at a table and have a big discussion how we can best handle the money. We don't get very much from any of our state agencies that are direct grants. Everything is a very bureaucratic and unbelievable process and kind of a simple formula. So I just want to go on record that anything that somehow eliminates the direct grant mechanism to the towns, we don't get a lot that comes directly. Thank God we're not involved in the school stuff, but anyway. I spoke my piece on that, and I hope everybody agrees with me on that one. We don't need to turn it into a big political football, who gets this and who gets that, and just give the towns what they're entitled. It was all done on a per mileage basis, standard across the state. Leave sleeping dogs sleep.
It's worked, hasn't it?
It's worked as well as we can make it work,
Right.
Mark. We won't cover diddly do with the inflationary
Right.
costs now, but it's better than nothing. No.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more item.
Mayor Bob had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When I first got here, anytime you spent town aid road money, a state inspector had to be there, and then it changed to giving us our money. And to echo what the first selectman of Middlebury said, we should decide. No disrespect to any of my brothers and sisters sitting here. It's kind of taking away home rule. If it's Prospect's money, Prospect should get it and spend it, and I don't have to worry about what goes on in Ansonia and Derby and any place else in the state. That's their Department of Public Works and their first selectman or mayor or first select woman's job to do it. We should not have to do it. It's just more waste of time on our part.
I think it's about money. I think when a state agency inserts itself, it's about money. But I get the point of where the feds want a regional entity to disperse like larger grants. So that I understand, but I'm with you, Ed and Bob, with respect to, direct funding from the Fed or state and feds to the.
Sheila, my comments were aimed directly at the state money that
Yep.
we get directly, not anything to do with the federal COG, the state and all of that are best handlers of that because we don't have the resources. I don't think many others do either. But the state grant money comes directly to us, should continue to go that way and keep their fingers off of it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those comments. Anyone else have anything before we?
I have a couple questions for Rick. They pertain to the city of Derby. The WPCA in the city of Derby wants to know when the regional study is going to be done so they can move forward with their plan.
Regional study's been published.
They don't know anything about it.
Well, Mr. Walsh, I believe, is on the call. I don't know where this is coming from.
Came directly from his mouth this morning.
He's on the
At 8
call. The
o'clock
mayor
this
is
morning.
here. We've presented it publicly at Ansonia High School a month ago.
So when does it get finalized?
It's finalized. The report is done. It's published. It's up to the towns if they want to move on it.
Or so you're going to convey that to Jack?
Jack has heard this from me numerous times.
I'm glad I had witnesses with me this morning.
I'm here if you want me to comment.
Please.
Go ahead, Jack.
Yes, I want to get this over and done with one way or the other. If we can save money, I'm all for it. But, we left, there was a public discussion, presentation in Ansonia High School. But the biggest question that was not answered, how much is it going to cost each individual town to do this? That answer is not there. And no town is going to move forward without having that information. Simple as that.
Okay. Rick, you got an answer?
I do. $65 million is the savings between the three towns. If they choose to get around the table and determine how to share that savings, then they'll have their answer. It's not the COG's job. The COG published the report. I'm not sure why this comes back to the COG. And we've had this conversation numerous times. I don't understand.
I'm going to disagree. There was $1.3 million sent to do the study. Tell us how much it's going to cost, or get the mayors, get the chief elected officials together to decide. We provided everything we could
And, we've held up, we passed a referendum in 2014 that should have been done by 2018. It's been held up because we wanted to participate in the regional study, which is a good idea. But now we're at the end of it, and I don't know what the next step is. So I'm asking, tell me what the next step is, and if the mayors have to get together, that's fine. But
I think.
yeah, we've done everything we could.
Yes, Mr. Walsh, I suggest you consult with your city officials on this and their direction. I work for the mayors and CEOs, and they make the decisions.
I agree, they should be getting together, but you guys coordinated the study, you should get them together. I can't.
Well, I'll jump in there as the chairman of COG. Our job is to do what Rick Dunn has described, Mr. Walsh. If you and your two other, if your mayor and your two other mayors can't sit in the same room, that's not a COG problem, that's your problem. And your residents and your taxpayers' problem. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, we can respectfully disagree on that.
Well, okay. All right. Anybody else want to talk before we move on?
I got one more Derby question.
Are you the mayor of Derby today, or?
I spend a lot of time there and I pay taxes there.
I think that the mayor is I think Mayor Zeke is on the call though, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's right across the table.
and by the way, I did call him the other day, but I'll leave that alone. The Derby Shelton Bridge, the reconstruction, a portion of it is in very bad disrepair. And people are gonna ruin their vehicles. So who's responsible to maintain the travel portion of the road?
The contractor.
Okay, well, he's not doing it.
So Karen, unfortunately, is on vacation. I don't know.
And it's being run by the DOT, so it's a DOT project. And we'll contact the district office that's handling that and express your concerns that they're not maintaining.
There's a field office located in Shelton. I believe.
Yeah, it's at the little parking area where the greenway comes
So
out.
we'll follow up with them on that. This is the first I've heard. I don't go to Shelton, so I don't cross that bridge. But
You take the Route 8 bridge, right?
Yeah, I was unaware that there was a problem with the condition of it, but they ripped up half of it before they shut down for the winter, and the travel lane is not in great shape, I assume.
It's horrendous.
Okay. So,
And it's been that way for a couple months now.
yeah, since they shut down for a season, right?
Yeah, but they can do cold patch.
So our engineer will check with their field office and find out what's what and what the contractor is responsible for doing on that. We're also, I know that there's still dates going back and forth to resolve the landscaping issue that you're concerned about on the slipway.
Right.
On the Shelton side. So Mark, we got dates yesterday for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll coordinate with Cindy and try to get,
Yeah.
figure out a good time for you. I'll send her those.
Mark, a contractor the magnitude of what's on this bridge job probably has an asphalt maker that they use for, during the winter months. And they really should, there's a lot of traffic that goes over that bridge.
Yeah.
You know where I'm talking about, right, Rick? Right on the.
I take a break when I go.
So
Hey, I'm a local guy, so what can I tell you?
So
Going out to Marvis.
with what I would offer, I forgot Karen's on vacation for another week. Kevin, if you want to reach out and
we'll
talk to the field office, find out what the condition is, express the concern, ask them if they can have the contractor put the road into better condition for temporary passage.
Yeah, because that is usually a requirement of the thing.
Yeah.
They
Right.
have to maintain traffic and not in a passable condition, not impassable.
But just any CEO around the table, any DOT issue, any roadway issue, construction issue, anywhere in your towns, just call us. When you spot these things, let us get on them as quickly as possible. You don't have to wait to come here to tell us at the meeting. We're happy to get on these things any day, anytime.
Mark, if they use hot asphalt as an excuse, you tell them the city of Shelton has one, we'd be happy to go and repair it.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay?
Yep.
They make hot asphalt in Waterbury every Wednesday.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. I'm just listening away here. This is it.
Got enough to do.
This is my longest director's report in history, and I don't want to be blamed for it at all. No, I have one more item. It'll come up in a little while when we get to LOTSIP, but it's a legislative issue, so I wanted to make sure I put it on the table. We're still trying to have a conversation with CONDOT about the level of funding in the LOTSIP program. What you'll see a little later is we're bumping up against the limits in the out years, and it hasn't kept up with the original deal with the state, which was to swap dollar for dollar state for federal dollars. The federal dollars have increased, the state dollars to LOTSIP in their place have not. So that's a conversation we continue to have with the department. We're hopeful that there is an increase or a resolution to allow regions like ours who program aggressively to get that money in place in the bond package this year. And with that, Mr. Chairman, my report is complete unless there are any questions.
I think we're probably ready to move on to item agenda number 4, which is something that sounds like maybe it might be nearly impossible to do in the valley, but municipal shared services, John DeCarlo.
Oh, boy. That's a troublemaker.
That's not totally true, Mayor.
That hurts.
That's not totally, the city of Shelton, the city of Derby have a joint venture in a number of areas where we're affecting cost savings.
But you're a troublemaker. You come up here, stir up all this
Hey,
trouble.
I haven't had any fun all week, can I tell you?
Awful troublemaker. Stay down and show.
That's what happens to Syracuse fans.
Go ahead. Go ahead, John DeCarlo.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I can't see myself, even though my camera's functioning. I hope you can hear me there in the room.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Hear you, John.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Regarding RPIP applications, OPM is funding applications for the Regional Performance Incentive Program, which has not been funded since 2015. The applications are available and are going to be due on a rolling basis in a couple of months. We're looking at a number of things for the region and a couple of potential applications. I just want to mention briefly that we're considering submitting applications for regional subscription to near maps, on-demand high-resolution imagery. The primary user of this imagery would be your town's assessors, but other municipal departments would benefit, such as 911, emergency management, fire, planning, zoning, public works, and GIS. Last June, we hosted a virtual demonstration of Near Maps aerial service, and there was significant interest from your towns. Near Maps quoted us a regional price that would be substantial savings over individual municipal subscriptions. We're exploring the potential for a cost share between NVCOG and the member municipalities. Participation would be entirely optional. I'll mention the second one is possible assistance for MS4 compliance. A nonprofit organization has filed litigation against several Connecticut municipalities on Clean Water Act violations that include MS4 compliance. We want to help ensure your towns have every professional service available to be in full compliance. And to that end, we're engaging with DEP to determine needs for the towns in our region. We'd like to hear from your towns about assistance they need while we're coming up with this. And I'll mention brownfields is another area that we are looking into applying for funding as well. And on to the second point, we're continuing to look at opportunities for ways to reduce municipal solid waste disposal costs with a regional composting site as a potential RPIP application. We're continuing to work with DEEP and 6 of our towns to receive funding for the Sustainable Materials Grant Program. I understand there was discussion during Wednesday's executive committee on municipal solid waste. In that regard, I know there are a couple of CEOs on the executive committee who've been highly engaged with NVCOG over this issue in the last couple of years, including First Selectman Ed St. John and Mayor Tom Dunn. So I'll turn it over to whoever wants to discuss what was discussed at executive committee.
John, Ed St. John here. I'm the one that actually, I think I got the discussion started a little bit, which wasn't really part of the whole executive board discussion, but had to do with the mirror issue. And not that we've changed at all, we're still there and involved with mirror. But Tom Dunn was privy to a discussion, and I thought if he could share that discussion with everyone, it'd be, I think it's quite interesting.
No, I think it was actually the testimony
that they were given for the Mara plant. Don Stein and a couple of Mark Bobman got up. And one of the representatives had spoken saying that if they were willing to take 10 or 15 million to keep the plant going. So, which was interesting to see the representatives on the board offering something to keep the plant going. They think it could be sustainable.
You know, in their infinite wisdom, was ridiculous to even suggest closing that plant until they had an alternative in place.
Well, that's the
They've been
argument.
talking about this for years. When as you know, I was on the CRA board.
Yeah.
And we had this discussion back then.
Well, the problem was exactly that. It hit quick and didn't give us any chance. So that's why we were supposed to be getting into the governor's office, which we brought up at CCM. That hasn't happened yet, but we're hoping to keep that going because again, we're not part of that, but it could affect everybody else, whoever isn't part of that, because you know how trash is going to be expensive to haul, that they're going to be trying to sneak trucks into any plant that they can get into. And money talks.
Especially now.
So, yeah.
But
So
the price of gas.
Tom, the same
Right.
thing is gonna happen. DEP will squeeze all of the other resource recovery facilities. It's like closing the landfills. We all lived through that.
yeah.
Well, we banged Shelton on Monday, then we'll get Middlebury on Tuesday, and it's just a rolling stone.
But we're working with Deep through the COG. We
Yeah.
had a meeting last week. We have one next week, which we're pushing them now because they talk grants, they talk it, and you got to go
Yeah.
through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 50. But right now we're pushing them to pay for the transportation because that's the big cost of the food waste.
Yeah.
We'll get the food waste out, or we'll try to get the food waste out of the trash. But if you want to give us a grant, then you pay for the transportation to get it to where we need to bring it. We have Quantum in Southington and other places, but they want us to open up a plant. We're working with Bristol and New Britain, which we're on phase 2 for a grant to build something that would take the food waste, or work with Quantum that's already in Southington to expand, and they're willing to. But it's the transportation. Everybody's doing the pilot programs in their areas. They're taking them part of town. People are participating. It's costing more to transport the food waste than it would just to keep it in the.
Tom, it's been that way
trash.
with,
So,
in garbage forever,
right.
the transportation costs, not new. And the biggest impediment we have is deep and always have been.
but one thing about when I was watching the testimony, a couple of representatives on someone that's been around a long time, and I really forget her name. I should have wrote it down, but she was after the commissioner strong to come up with a plan. And the commissioner came back with the rhetoric, and this representative came right back and said, no, you do something now. So stop the talk. It has to be done now. You got to stop this.
She's in over her head.
Right, exactly. They're trying to push things. So I think we got all the eyes and ears open now. I really do. I think people are listening, and I think it's a good chance for Connecticut to be the leader in pushing this forward. So if we keep the pressure on them and we can getting something going at work. Mary, you said the other day you have something going, anaerobic digestion coming up in Naugatuck. So I mean, that's great.
Here's something, John DeCarlo, you may want to listen to because we're involved. We're at the table with Naugatuck as part of their treatment plant, so.
We're already partners. and
We're
now
already
gonna
partners,
expand it.
and
We're
I
gonna expand it.
think that Mayor Hess's vision on this is a wonderful one, and anybody that has sewage treatment plants may be able to sort of get involved in
Right,
it
but
and
it
become
only
part of
solves
us.
a portion of the problem, so
Yeah.
you still have a problem. I have.
This is a
I have
food
an
waste
idea for
issue.
Woket, though.
Very interesting.
All right.
I'll talk to you.
Okay, we'll take it.
They talked about that for years.
Yeah. Mayor, go
So
ahead.
that's all I got. I mean,
No, I mean,
there's a lot of trash talk going on.
We opted out from Mira. We made a very good, very solid, guaranteed 5-year deal. So we have like 5.5 years to get a solution, and we're gonna work on a solution, just like you're working on it. And we'll get there.
The good part of this is that for myself is watching what's going to happen to all these other plants, because Bristol, we're 14 communities. We're really good. I mean, we've got a good contract till 2034. We're signed in at, less than $70 a ton for up to 2034. So it's just, I know what's going to happen is all of a sudden our trucks are going to go down there.
If they
and
let
be in a long line.
the plant stay open that way.
I know.
And that's-
You never know what they're gonna do.
And we
That's
do
the
have-
part.
It's gonna be
We do
dominoes.
have people that are looking to close that plant locally.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, that's one of the issues with the big plant in Hartford. Is they'll miss the
Yeah, it's
little
not going to
ghost
be good.
fee account when they don't get their $3 million.
You got a good plan.
There's a message. There's a message in the meeting chat from Representative Reyes indicating that Representative Mashinsky from Wallingford is the rep who questioned the deep commission.
Okay, great. Any other comments? Thank you, Representative Reyes, for letting us know it was Mary Mashinsky. We appreciate that. And John, are you, John DeCarlo, you done now?
Yes, I am, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll go to item agenda 5, which is the emergency management update with Joanna and John. Go ahead, folks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the time that we can address the board. I'm going to start off before I let John take it away, just to let you guys know that we still are having meetings of the Long-Term Recovery Committee for Region 5. Our last meeting was this past Wednesday. Just wanted to say that we were focusing on health and human services issues and also jobs and business. In particular, health and human services, there was David Morgan from Team Inc. and Susan Agami from Spooner House, who were talking about there's a tsunami of housing issues that are coming, increases in people asking for assistance with housing, rental cost increases. Also, they were specifically targeting childcare issues. There's an increased need for infant, toddler childcare, and then there's also an unprecedented childcare worker shortage. This has been documented by the CBIA recent report. So just wanted to highlight that and just to let you know, we're still recovering from the pandemic. As far as jobs and business, we heard from Kathy Awad from the Northwest Regional Workforce Investment Board. The continuing shortage of job applicants. She discussed the role of mental exhaustion and the need for training, but equally important, the need to make connections with employers through recruitment programs. She also mentioned there is a statewide portal for job applicants, and that portal is focusing on healthcare and green jobs related to HVAC and infrastructure improvement. I also wanted to mention that regarding the FEMA Region 1 and the projects that were submitted to that portal in October of 2021, we're expecting an update from FEMA Region 1 on March 29th, later this month. Also, regarding the Regional Emergency Planning Team for Region 5, there's going to be a meeting of the CEOs this coming Monday, March 14th. If you haven't sent a proxy, or if you can't attend and you want to send a proxy, you can send it to me or to the Northwest Hills Council of Governments. In addition, for Region 5, there's going to be a emergency management and cybersecurity training on March 31st. I will be in attendance, and Rick Dunn is expected to be in attendance as well. And regarding the community emergency response teams, the next meeting of the statewide citizen corps is on March 17th. Before that, there's going to be a more targeted and focused Region 5 meeting on March 15th. Okay, and then with that, I'm going to give it over to John Field for other updates.
And before you turn it over, I just wanted to reiterate to all the CEOs, you've gotten an invitation, the meeting that Joanna referred to, which is the budget approval meeting for Demis Region 5. You received an email from Rob Phillips, who's the new executive director of Northwest Hills COG. So for all of our towns, with the exception of Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, Shelton, Cheshire, Bristol. I can't remember Plymouth. Is Plymouth in or out? 5. In. There. So with the exception of those towns, it's very, very important that we get a proxy if you cannot attend yourself. Send someone or get us a proxy that we can exercise on the budget vote, because if there's not a quorum, it doesn't get approved and it goes on sometimes for months. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you to Naugatuck for submitting their proxy.
You're welcome.
About time.
Okay, good job, Naugatuck. John Field, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Joanna, thank you, and Rick, thank you so much for covering what you did. Just real quick, on the COVID side, this week is going to be, well, actually yesterday and today is the final days for any resource request for PPE, for test kits, all that kind of stuff. We're actually transitioning the warehouse that we've been operating for the last 2 or 3 years, and basically transitioning it over to DPH, who will be running it from after this week going forward. Also, we're losing the resources of the National Guard to help us with the warehouse this week. Also, they're starting to fade out some of the medical assistance that the National Guard's been helping with at the hospitals. So they're finishing all that stuff up this week, and hopefully, with things coming down, it'll get a little quieter. From a normal, the other thing is COVID public assistance. We're still working on collecting data in regards to 100% reimbursement through FEMA's public assistance program for designated costs associated with COVID. That will continue. The president extended that out to, I think, June or July, I believe, the 100% reimbursement. So they'll continue to work on that. Right now, we stand at about just under 300 million in federal reimbursement. We're anticipating that's probably going to double. So we're going to be looking at $500-600 million in regards to Connecticut's reimbursement costs for public assistance. When it comes to COVID, that's 4,500. Normal ops, we're trying to put together a school safety and security working group. I've been reaching out and trying to get contacts to do that. I think it would be a great opportunity to start getting back, into talking about school safety and security. So getting some of the SROs and some of those safety and security and facility folks together to start networking and identify some best practices from each other and doing that kind of stuff. So we'll continue to work on that. Demis is starting to replace some positions that they lost through retirement or movement of other people. So they'll continue to do that. We do have a job offer out to a new statewide emergency management director. This was Bill Hackett's old job. It's a gentleman out of Pennsylvania. He should be starting the end of this month. Then we've also started to do some planning in regards to avian influenza. We did have a case of the bird over in the eastern side of the state. We had a flock that had a touch of this avian influenza. So they started the planning process for that to ensure our plan is up to date and ready if needed. So far, it's been kept pretty calm, except for that one batch of birds that was affected. We're also doing some planned hurricane exercise with the National Weather Service. Joanna mentioned the CEO EMD training that's happening March 31st. We also have the CCM, Demis, DPH Symposium, Emergency Management Symposium, which will be April 27th. And then yesterday, last couple of days, we've been reaching out to folks in Litchfield County and Fairfield County. So not a lot of this group, but in regards to public assistance for Tropical Storm Ida, and trying to get some of those numbers in if people can get some 75-25 reimbursement through FEMA. So I think that's it, pending any questions, Mayor.
Any questions for Mr. Field?
John,
Bob
is this
Chatfield, Mayor.
Ed St. John here?
Yes.
John, is this transfer over where you've done such a great job of running the distribution center up there? Is this going to be a permanent transfer, or is it the next time we have a big emergency, they'll pass it back to you? Hopefully, Daddy.
Yeah, the plan is to make this a permanent transfer. I hate to say, but I'm sure at some point, if we have to do some modifications as we've done in the past over the past couple of years, it'll come right back into our lap. Even though we wouldn't like it to, it would happen though. But hopefully,
yeah, John, you made it happen, and I'm afraid that DOH doesn't have the resources and the expertise in that area to manage something like that. But anyway, let's hopefully it's short-lived. But maybe there's a good reason we'll never need it again. I doubt that.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that.
How about, thank you, Ed St. John. How about Mayor Chatfield? Did you have your hand up? Go ahead, sir.
Mayor Chatfield, you're muted. You need to unmute.
Maybe it's from the last time, he didn't take his hand.
Okay. I just wanted to thank Chief Fields and Joanna on behalf of everybody that's in matter of this COG in Region 5 and Region 2 for all they've done over the last 2.5 years. If it wasn't for these two people, I don't think we'd have gotten through what we all got through, and for all the towns, emergency management and all the CERT teams and all the volunteers that every town they have. If it wasn't for being great Americans, we wouldn't have gotten through this thing as we did.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure that we all echo that, but Bob, we really appreciate you recognizing both of those great folks. Thank you. Anyone else have anything for our great team?
Mr. Chairman, may I just add one more comment?
Of course.
Thank you. I just got a confirmation of it, but regarding the childcare industry and the shortage of workers there, I just want to make everyone aware that on March 15th, there's going to be a series of rallies across the state about the importance of equitable and affordable access to high quality childcare. One of them will be on the Waterbury Green at 9 a.m. So just understand that there will be some exposure to that issue being on March 15th.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. I heard about it as well. The only thing that I don't have an issue with them bringing some exposure to their plight, but I do understand that they've called for all the daycare providers to close that morning so they can have the rally on the green. I think that's a little interesting, but I guess that's the way they need to do it. So, but thank you for bringing that up. Anyone else? All right, let's move on. Let's go to item agenda 6, NVCOG Planning and Transportation. Mark Nielsen, financial plan update, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick update again. We like to do a month about our LOTSIP program. On the screen right now is just a snapshot of where we are in terms of pre-applications, commitment to funds, under design, and construction completed. And as Rick sort of indicated earlier, we're coming up pretty close to our full allocation. Right now, we're looking at a program of $112 million. And this chart here, again, is tracking. The blue line is what we're allocated. The orange is how we're our commitment to funds. Again, we're a little bit concerned, probably mid next year, 2023, where we may be a little bit in a deficit situation. It should be really short-lived because the way the projects get awarded, and then pretty soon after that, we receive another allocation. So something, again, that we're keeping track of, and you know, we're just keeping an eye on the program as going forward. Again, as Rick had indicated, at ST, the federal aid dollars that we sort of traded with the state go up, we should be seeing a bump in our lots, which hasn't occurred. So again, that's something we're working on.
I've asked Mark and Rich to plot for us next month on this graph, the graph of where the federal aid is that we should be swapping.
And we need to get that numbers from the parks that we have right now in our file. So it's something we have to request. I will also note, next couple of items on the agenda are looking at endorsing cost increases to a couple of projects and adding another project in. Those projects are reflected in this chart. We wanted to, again, we try to plan ahead. Those numbers are included in this chart. So, even with the increases that we're seeing in some of the projects, they still fit within the program. Any questions?
Okay, any questions on that? All right, let's go to item agenda 6.2. Approval of the NVCOG resolution 20-22-11 new project Wolcott Todd Bridge Road replacement. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is one of the projects that Mark just alluded to. This is a new lots of project. This is for Todd Road Bridge in Woolkit. This bridge was originally part of the Todd Road project several years ago. It was taken out during the design process. So this lots of project will be the new bridge project. It will be replacing a bridge over Willie Brook. The new bridge will be 24 feet long. The existing bridge is in very poor condition. The value of this project is $1.2 million. So the recommended motion on your screen is to adopt the resolution. This has been endorsed by TTAC during our last TTAC meeting. And I'm here to take any questions.
How long is the bridge?
Good job.
24 feet.
Long?
Yeah, 24 feet long.
So they're gonna build it, put it on a flatbed and then just drop it in place on the abutments?
No.
To be determined in design.
You don't do that, too
I hope
simple.
so. And it'll be too simple for DOT, right?
This is a town run project. Lots of-
No, if it's in Woken, it's gotta be closed for like 6 months. Otherwise, it's not a good project.
All right, how about a motion?
I moved.
Okay.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion, okay, opposed, motion passes.
Price increase.
There you go.
Kevin, you're on a roll. Approval of the NVCOG resolution 20-22 to pricing. Rubber Avenue reconstruction. Kev?
All right, so this is the cost increase that we were talking about earlier. This project was previously endorsed in 2015 at a price of $5.2 million. If any Watson project has an increase of 20% or greater, it needs to be reapproved by the board. So just to give a quick overview of the project, this project is constructing 3,600 feet of roadway along Rubber Avenue, and there will be a new roundabout at Rubber Avenue at the intersection of Meadow Street and Cherry Street. The new price for this project is $7.1 million.
Oh my
The
God.
reasons for this increase are reflections with revisions with DOT mainly at the roundabout, and the original estimate was back in the pre-application in 2015. So the recommended motion is to adopt the resolution. Again, this is endorsed by TTAC in our last meeting. And additionally, I can take any questions, and our lead designer Lisa is on the phone with any more design related questions.
So moved. I'll make the motion for discussion.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion, we got a second. Any discussion?
Is it a roundabout or a traffic circle?
Roundabout, modern roundabout.
Not a traffic signal.
Okay. I go to New Hampshire, I know, they almost get killed.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Mayor, they do actually work pretty well, let me tell you.
Item- Okay, approval of the NVCOG resolution 2022-15 price increase Waterbury Exchange Place phase renovation project.
This project again is a extension of some of the improvements that had originally been proposed under East Main Street, but the project was divided. This covers 3 streets: South Main Street, Bank Street, and North Street. North Main Street, excuse me. And the cost estimate has been refined based on the final design plans that were submitted. But it does have a cost increase from 6.3 million to about 10.2 million. That increase is due in part to the underground utility work that is not participating in the project. Needs to make some lateral connections to buildings adjacent to the street, and that work is going to necessitate more improvements along the 3 streets. So the city did ask us to put this on the agenda. It didn't get reviewed by TTAC because they're trying to decide how to fund the underground utility work. So again, this is a project that has been approved by the board. It's now looking at the cost increase. And as mentioned before, it does fit into our financial plan.
So moved. Second.
Motion is on the floor, so moved and seconded. Any further, any discussion or further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? I don't know, maybe I should abstain from this one, Rick.
There's no conflict, but if you feel like you want to, that's fine.
No, if there's no conflict, I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you, everyone. Item agenda D, active transportation plan request for advisory committee members. Rick?
Actually, is Rich Donovan taking this up? Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I don't see his name here.
It's okay, it's my fault.
Okay,
Yes, so, I'm sorry, I'm seeing a different slide and I want to make sure we're gonna go to active transportation now.
Yeah, you're supposed to be on B, did I miss it? The raise grant?
Oh,
Do I got the different?
oh, Mayor, I'm
You
sorry.
missed two
You
before.
skipped
that.
over
oh, it's my fault. Sorry, folks. Sorry.
Maybe
Okay,
the wrong agenda. I didn't want to say nothing.
thanks. I appreciate it. I got, I'm got issues here today. Item agenda B is in boy, NVCOG resolution 2022-14, endorsement of Waterbury Raise Grant application, water phase 2. Mark?
Again, this is just asking the NVCOG board to support the project and authorize
That's enough.
putting together a letter for the raise grant that we talked about earlier.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you all. Item agenda number or letter C, discussion of I-84 Route 8 interchange assessment. Mark Nielsen.
And just again, real quickly, I just want to make everybody aware that the state has initiated what they call a planning environment linkages study for the interchange. As you know, this is a very, very large project. They were hoping to go into design a couple of years ago, but because of the cost, the fiscal warning that the department had to sort of look at and sort of reevaluate going forward. So the Pell process is going to be trying to combine some environmental and planning work. I just want to let you know that I'm part of that advisory committee. We've been meeting once a month to go over it. My focus is looking at more immediate actions that the city may be interested in pursuing, so that some early action work can be done to local streets, connections, things like that, because the full interchange rebuild is not likely to occur until like 2040, 2045. So we're talking a lot of years. And I think this project may present the city an opportunity to get some local streets built that tie into the interchange. So again, it's just letting you know that this is underway. There are some PAC members from the city and that I'm a part of that. And I'm going to try to keep everybody informed going forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Any discussion on that issue? Okay, now we'll go to where we were, where I jumped over all the important stuff. Item agenda D is in David, active transportation plan, request for advisory committee members.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so as a reminder, starting back around the end of last summer, planning staff began work on a regional active transportation plan. And so we spent time last year doing data collection and some background research. We're getting ready to move to the next phase of this planning study. And part of that is going to be assembling an advisory committee of some statewide and some local and municipal staff members to help advise and guide where we take this. And so we would like to request from all the elected officials in the room recommendations for members of your municipal staff to help serve on this committee. And so in addition to engineering and public works staff, we would like to have representation from at least a couple of boards of education, as well as a couple of police departments. And so anybody within your town or city who has an interest in or a passion for active transportation, whether it be cycling, walking, or disability advocacy, please reach out to me and let me know. We're hoping to put this committee together over the next several weeks and have our first meeting somewhere near the end of April or beginning of May. And of course, I'm happy to take questions now or at any time in the future.
Any questions for Rick? Rich? Okay, so Thank you for those invitations, and we'll be sure to send you over somebody from Waterbury. And anyone else who wants to participate, now's the time to think about it and submit your names to Mr. Donovan, okay? Thank you. All right, item agenda 7, environmental planning, discussion and nomination of NVCOG rep to Regional Brownfield Partnership. Rick Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So 7A is actually a misprint. It's just discussion and update, and then I'll go right into 7B with your permission. So 7A, the executive board made the appointment to the Regional Brownfields Partnership, the NVCOG vacant position that previously occupied by former Naugatuck Valley Health Director Karen Spargo, who's retired and moved on. The executive board appointed Roy Kavanaugh to the RBP board. Roy has served on that board for almost 20 years in his capacity in Watertown, and we're now very happy to have him as the NVCOG rep. With your permission, Mr. Mayor, on 7B, this is just, again, an update. We thought we might have a slate by now. That was originally the plan. There's a delay with the bylaws at Connecticut Brownfields Land Bank, but the executive board did appoint a nominating committee yesterday consisting of Mayor Dunn and Mayor Hess, who will vet and present a list to this board to nominate up to 11 members of the new reconstituted Connecticut Brownfields Land Bank. And unless there are any questions, I have nothing else on items A or B.
So the idea is any of you who are interested in brownfield remediation and brownfield projects, you know, why don't you join that that group of distinguished members led by Mayor Hess and Mayor Dunn, and that'll put you at the table, which has been very beneficial to Waterbury. So I would recommend it if you got something that you're really interested in jumping on. Okay. C, composter and rain barrel sale update. Aaron?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So earlier this week, we kicked off the 2022 NVCOG composter and rain barrel sale. There is an online store that is now open at nvcogct.gov/composter sale. Residents can order backyard composters, rain barrels, and accessories directly on the online store, which will be open until May 19th. Orders will need to be picked up on May 21st at 2 events that NVCOG will be hosting. From 9 to 11, will be at the Seymour Community Center, and from 1 to 3 p.m. will be at the Bethlehem Fire Department. We're requesting that all of you and your municipal staff help us get the word out to your residents about the sale by sharing our posts on social media and municipal websites, or by posting flyers in municipal buildings. We sent a memo earlier this week with details and a digital flyer. To the discussion that was had earlier in this meeting, you know, these composters are a way that residents can take organic materials out of their waste stream at the source. So there's no transportation cost. You know, it's sort of a grassroots solution to this problem, but every little bit counts. So we certainly ask you for your assistance in spreading the word. So I'm happy to answer any questions now, or you can reach out to me or our environmental planner, Christine O'Neill, who's heading up this effort at any time.
Any questions for Aaron? I think they're all talked out, Aaron. Yeah, so you, as Aaron said, just contact him directly if you need to, and you would like to add to this or get some additional information. Thank you. Item agenda 7D is Kennytown Dam. Rick, do we really need to go in executive session?
Oh, no executive sessions required. Okay. We just put that on just in case.
Sure. All right. You want to give us an update?
Sure.
Yeah, Aaron.
Since my last update at last month's meeting, there's been several additional filings on the FERC docket. As you may recall, in December, FERC found that Hydroland was not in compliance with their license exemption for Kennytown, and they presented a timeline of actions that needed to be taken to bring the facility back into compliance. On February 11th, NVCOG, Save the Sound, and the Naugatuck River Revival Group, what we're calling the Naugatuck River Coalition, filed comments detailing the deadlines in the December 22nd FERC order that Hydroland had missed. Among those, there's a list of them, but They were supposed to consult with the resource agencies on several issues by February 15th. They were supposed to provide a status update to the commission and the resource agencies by January 21st. They were supposed to provide an engineering assessment to the resource agencies by January 31st. And they missed all of those deadlines and more. So our submission on February 11th listed those and also requested that FERC issue civil penalties or pursue revocation of the exemption. On February 16th, FERC filed a memorandum outlining a phone discussion that FERC staff had with Hydroland CEO Corey Lagerstrom. On February 28th, Senators Blumenthal and Murphy and Representatives DeLauro, Hayes, and Himes filed a letter with FERC expressing frustration with Hydroland's continued inaction and asking the commission to move forward on enforcement. And on March 2nd, DEEP filed another letter detailing additional missed deadlines that Hydroland had missed. They did say, DEP did say that Hydroland had reached out to set up a meeting, and we understand that the agencies have a meeting with Hydroland planned later this month, but we're still unclear of what the agenda for that meeting will be. Earlier this week, our coalition partners, along with Mayors Hess and O'Leary, met with FERC staff to discuss the February 16th phone call that FERC had with Hydroland. FERC staff relayed that Hydroland seemed confident that they would meet the requirements, but offered additional excuses for continued delay. Commission staff explained to Hydroland the importance of consultation with the resource agencies to develop a plan to address ongoing issues. Our coalition partners and the mayors made it clear to FERC staff that we do not have confidence in Hydroland's ability to meet its obligations and that enforcement action by FERC is warranted. And I think the mayors did a really good job of explaining the importance of resolution to the issues at Kinneytown to our communities. As of last Friday, when I visited Kinneytown, the facility is still not operational, so they're not producing any energy there still. And it's been over a year now that they haven't. In the last several months, we've witnessed and heard reports of fish schooling above the dam and schools of fish stuck in the canal between the dam and Unit 2. And with the beginning of the 2022 fish run season coming up in a little over a month, it seems unlikely that any of the interim fixes are going to be implemented by then. So, this fish passage season is definitely in jeopardy, as is next year's. So, Rick, I don't know if you have anything else to add, or if the mayors want to talk about the meeting earlier this week.
Yeah, no, I'd turn it over to Mayor O'Leary if he has any comments based on the meeting with FERC.
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to Mayor Hess subsequent to that meeting, but I was a little disappointed. I more than a little disappointed after all the work that's been done on this, with the response from the lead individual over there at FERC, but giving her the benefit of the doubt just for a little while. I think she's trying to be as diplomatic as she can. So I just thought of a couple things that we should do. I know Kevin Zach captures some really good pictures of fish getting stuck in both of the areas that Aaron just described. I would like to see if we can, continue to make sure that we get some really good video footage of the fish, and their predicament, and unfortunately, if they die, I would like to get a lot of video footage of that as well, because I really think that that's probably some of our most impactful evidence that we can submit to keep pressure on our federal delegation to, put pressure on FERC. So I'll yield to Mayor Hess and see what you have, Pete, for additional thoughts.
Mayor Hess had to leave it for an 11:30 meeting.
Oh, okay. So listen, we're on it. We're going to stay on it. Aaron's done an incredible job on this so far. Aaron, if you think it's warranted to get some additional photography support or videography support for Kevin Zach, I'd be happy to facilitate that if you can follow up with him. I think that's the most powerful part of what we have here. It's hard to get people's attention on this matter, but if they see a bunch of fish who are unable to survive or, I hate to say it, but all floating dead in the water. I think that'll get their attention even more. So keep me posted, Aaron, what you think we should be doing on that, and we can line up some support for Kevin Zach on that. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, just so you know, Aaron uses the drone. He's out there several times a month, and he actually caught some pretty impressive footage of the fish who are trapped above the dam last week, I think it was. Aaron, if you can, maybe send that link out from our website to all the members so that they can play the video and view the pictures.
I could do that. Yes.
Yeah, and the offer is out there for additional support with that. That's what I was really referring to. Waterbury PD has state-of-the-art and continue to stay up to with the state-of-the-art drone footage. As you know, Aaron, if you're familiar, you can get some amazing footage and you can get that drone right down there. So I know that they just upgraded that stuff and it works really well. If you need additional support there, it's very easily to provide that. Okay.
Great. I appreciate that.
Okay. So I think for the most part, that's probably where we are, folks. I just want to put two things on your radar, and I got to jump off too. But one, for the cities and towns that are going through revaluation now, right? So for this fiscal year, and then in Waterbury's case, fiscal year 23, I've looked at the preliminary reval numbers for our city, and they're not going to be much different for any of yours. And what we're seeing is such a dramatic shift because of the amazing increases in property values on the residential levels from commercial to residential. And we're trying to figure out what to do about that. Obviously, we'd love to lower our mill rate 10 mills, but to throw a $750 to $1,000 increase at our taxpayers in one fell swoop in 1 year, we think is going to be really difficult for them. So we're contemplating the phase-in approach that you can all take advantage of. It's in the statutes. You can phase it in up to 5 years. You can do 4, 3, 2, or you can just take the hard line and go all in for the first time around. And some of your communities are able to do that. Ours probably may not be, different demographics. The other thing, your option is to delay reval. There is legislation pending to give cities and towns an option to delay reval. I'm not so interested in that because Waterbury's history is pretty sordid for delaying reval. So I think that's not in our cards, but it could very well be in yours. I would ask this for any of you that are thinking about delaying reval and or phasing it in, particularly phasing it in, I guess, because that's what I'm most interested in. If you could please let the NVCOG know what your thoughts are, at least at this time, so that when I speak publicly about this issue at CCM, at the state legislature, and even to my own local constituents, I'll be able to say we're not in this alone. There's so many other communities that are impacted, and a lot of them are considering the same options. Please take just a minute to notify NVCOG, and then the NVCOG will let me know with a list of cities and towns that are contemplating it. And then the last thing I have for you, and you guys can all stay on, but I got to jump. But the last thing I have for you is that there's a public hearing on Monday. Whenever they don't want to hear from us, they always schedule these things quickly on the juvenile justice related issues. Through you're all members of CCM, but through CCM, if you want to weigh in, you can weigh in on written testimony, you can weigh in on verbal testimony, or you can just call CCM Brian O'Connor and say, listen, I don't want to do either, but I want you to know that I'm very interested in putting my town down and my name down as someone who sees this juvenile justice package as extraordinarily important. I don't know if I'm able to testify because I've got such a significant conflict, but I am writing up testimony this weekend. But this is an issue that impacts all of us in NVCOG, and quite frankly, all of us throughout the state. I know that we're getting traction on this issue. It's going to become a real huge political issue for upcoming election, and it should. And I can tell you there's a faction of progressive Democrats who think that everything is just beautiful the way it is. And then the Republicans have seized the moment appropriately to make a lot of political noise. And then the moderate Democrats are in line with the Republicans, as amazing as that may seem, but it does appear to be that way. So I think that we have an opportunity to effectuate change. I've asked for recommendations from juvenile justice prosecutors and judges to see what issues are tying their hands to deal with the 10 or 15% of the juvenile population that are these repeat offenders that are not being, detained, that are out there stealing cars, every week, shooting off guns, whatever. So if you have an interest, please get a hold of Brian O'Connor at CCM. And you're a member. That's why you pay dues. Most of you are members. And if you're not, don't worry about it. You can get a hold of my office or NVCOG, and we'll get you in the loop. Okay. It's really important, you guys. And if it's not a problem if you can't testify, because quite frankly, that's more of a dog and pony show than anything else. But what really does matter is if you want to document incidents in your individual towns where juvenile crime has been such a major issue for your quality of life and safety for your residents, the written testimony is very important, and it does go up online, and you'd be shocked at how many legislators actually read it. So I would suggest that all of those options for you and to follow up. Pretty good meeting today, lively as ever. Had a lot of fun with the Valley towns today, but looking forward to, I would really like to help if I can in any way, Rick, with Mr. Walsh and his plight to try to get some things going in the direction that he would like to see. So, we'll keep everyone informed on that. Anybody have anything?
Just on that point, Mayor, I can tell you that we've offered to facilitate discussions between the three towns and made our staff available to move it forward in any way they choose to.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of, different things going on there that none of us are aware of, but it did provide a little entertainment for the meeting today, probably. Is Mayor Loretti still on?
Yes, he is. He's still here.
Listening very intently.
Okay, so yeah, offer is, honestly, if there's anything that you or Zeke or, Sheila, if Mayor Cassetti needs any, if we can help in any way, that's what we're here for. We will help. So to the extent we can, if it's a matter of personalities and getting in a room, I'm not sure we can help much with that, but we'll try. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thanks, Mayor.
I'm going to jump off. You guys are all welcome to stay on. I just have another meeting in the waiting room, so I got to run to. So take care, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Stay healthy. Thank you.
Take care, be good.
I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
No.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Right.
Rick, are you on?
I am.
How about marking me present?
I did.